In this video, we're going to talk about projects. Now, a project is, again, a term that you're going to hear a lot while you work with Unity. Now, Lee, what is a project?
A project is everything wrapped together that you need to create, in this case, a game.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you say everything, be specific. What kind of things are you talking about?
My assets, things like sounds, textures, models, scripts, prefabs.
Really, just about everything that we're going to be discussing over all of our terminology videos is going to be contained in your project. Your project is kind of like your highest level of what you're creating. Now, in most cases, and I say most because I hate laying down hard and fast rules, because sure as anything, someone will come along and say, well, actually, there was this one time. But for the most part, you're going to find that one project is pretty much equal to a game. So each game will be its own project. Now, you may end up with some really tremendous game that spans across multiple projects, though you may find that trying to manage that could get interesting. For 9 cases out of every 10, or probably 99 out of every 100, each project will actually be its own self-contained game. Now, at its simplest level, you can think of a project as simply a folder structure. An organizational system that is going to hold all of the different, as Lee said, all the different assets, things like textures, 3D models, scripts, sound effects, anything that you might need in order to make your game. And that's the big thing that I want you to keep in mind when you hear project. It is just a folder structure. Now, if I jump into Unity, here I've got a really simple level, and I've kind of slid the UI around a little bit. And I want you to take a look at the project panel. And here inside the project panel, you do indeed see a bunch of folders. Now, these are all folders that correspond to something that we're using in our game right now. We have our third-person setup folder. We have a folder just for audio. We have folders for our FBX files. We have a scenes folder, all kinds of stuff. It's all divided up. And you're going to be reaching into this a lot and pulling objects from this to put into your scenes, to literally put into the levels of your game. You'll be adding things to this. You may import new 3D models or new textures, or you might create a new script, and all of that will be placed and saved inside your project folder structure. Now, what I want to show off is that this project folder system you see here actually corresponds to a real folder structure that exists here inside your computer. So here we are inside of our My Documents folder in this particular case. And if I jump inside of the Assets folder, take a look at the list of what we have here. And if I slide this out of the way, take a look at how the names line up. They are exactly the same. If I make changes in one, they will be reflected in the other. So if I come in here into Unity and I delete this little animation file, actually we have a little, I'm scared to delete the new terrain. Let's just grab the oscillate and I'll hit delete and nuke that out. When I go back over to the folder, you'll notice that oscillate is now gone. And if you need to, of course, jump the video back a couple of seconds, you'll see that it was there a second ago. Now, this does mean that if you want to, if you need to, you could potentially make changes to your project at the operating system level.
Right. There's a caveat with that. While a project is a folder structure, the way Unity handles it is there's an underlying database behind it. If we jump up a level, you'll notice that we have our assets folder that corresponds with what you see inside of the project view. But there's another folder called library. And if you open this up, there are a whole lot of files inside of here. For, sake of your best interest, don't go in here and mess with anything ever. You will blow stuff up so badly that the only thing you can really do is create a new project and start over.
Yeah.
So
what you're looking at here is all of the metadata that drives the connections between objects in your project folder structure all the way down to what you're actually seeing inside of Unity.
Right. Some of this stuff may seem a bit confusing. It'll make more sense in future videos when we walk through all of this. But what we want to cover here is while you can make changes and move things around from inside of Windows Explorer in the file system itself, when you do that, the linkages between those assets in the database aren't being updated.
That's right.
And it is possible to rename things or move things or delete things, and the corresponding database won't be updated. So when you go to play your game again, it will be broken because things that are looking for aren't there anymore or in a wrong location.
Right. So generally speaking, especially if you're just getting started in Unity, try not to make any adjustments to your project at the OS level. Make them all through Unity's project panel, and you'll have a much easier time. Now, there are some things in here that you will not be seeing in your own projects. You'll notice we've got some Visual Studio files because we did create some scripts with Visual Studio. These kind of things typically won't be visible in what you're working on. This is just an example of what we see because we have a project that we've already been working on for some time now. So that is a rundown of what a project is. It's going to contain everything you need to finalize your game. Again, just broken down into folders, which you can access. Now, one good thing about being able to access them inside of the OS is if you need them in any other projects or if you're editing an existing asset. Say you've got a texture that is currently inside here, and I probably have a texture or two. If I open up my FBX, I could probably jump into... Yeah, here we go. There's our camp diffuse PNG, and what this is doing is here's our little campsite. And I'll go ahead and stretch this out a little bit. That PNG that we were just looking at is literally all of the textures for this campsite. You can already see the tent pretty obviously, and there's a little section here at the top. If I open it up, you see the bench, and there's the wood for the fire. It's really, really basic. But if we needed to maybe change the color of this tent, we could open this up inside of Photoshop, and we could save those changes. As long as we don't rename or relocate or delete this file, all of those metadata linkages will remain. But we can edit it, surely. And as we edit it, we can then jump back into Unity, and Unity will notice that there's a change, most of the time, and it will update to show you the new version. If it doesn't, you can actually force Unity to make that update. And that's something that we'll be taking a look at a little bit later. Now, that pretty much covers everything I want to discuss with Project Lee. Is there anything else you want to throw in?
No, I think that is good for this one.
All right, then that is going to wrap up this video. Thanks for watching.